All right. Well, I'm going to put this video together to just kind of do an overview for week 2 of the class. As always, feel free to reach out to me with any questions or concerns at any point along the way. If you have any questions left over from week 1, anything I can help out with there, or as we start moving through these weeks. With this being an 8-week class, really 7 calendar weeks, things do move pretty quickly, and I try to put things together in as organized a way as possible, but of course there will always be questions, so that's what I'm here for. So in terms of week 2, we have 4 subtopics for week 2. And I will just throw this out there, and I put it in the write-up in Blackboard as well. Don't panic when you look at week 2. There's a lot of material in the Blackboard page for week 2. The majority of it is simply duplicate links to some readings and some web resources that are also contained in the main instructional pages. I just broke them out separately so that they were easier to get to if you're trying to come back and locate a resource rather than having to remember what subpage it was on and go there and then go to the link. I just broke them all out as well. So don't worry. Most of the work this week, I guess it's a Monday, I can't talk, is going to be mainly just sort of reading and becoming comfortable with some concepts and topics. There are a couple of assignments for this week. One is a discussion forum, and the other is going to be to fill in the first few pieces of your lesson plan template and submit those to me so that I can at least get a sense of where everybody's going with their lesson plan projects. But beyond that, the majority of the rest of the work is all mostly reading and looking at resources. So let me quickly overview what those 4 subtopic pages are. First topic of the week is to dive a little deeper into the ISTE standards. I had mentioned those last week in the syllabus. So this will give you a bit of a chance to go a little bit deeper into them. There's kind of an overview article here just about how they are incorporated into classrooms of all subject areas. And then I have a link to the actual ISTE website, which will have more information than you would ever want to know about the ISTE standards. And again, just to recap, these are standards that they may not be your subject area standards, but a lot of school districts are now expecting their teachers to at least know the ISTE standards and to look for places to incorporate them into your classroom, because technology has now become almost universal across any type of classroom, and the ISTE standards are the ones that really govern making sure students know how to use that technology, and the teachers know sort of what skills and what topics they should be teaching that relate to technology. So that's piece number 1, is just to get a little deeper dive into the ISTE standards. And again, the 2 links that are on the instructional page, I just broke out here. So they're identical links. You don't have to go to them separately. Second topic is to take a little bit closer look at one of the ISTE standard areas, which is digital citizenship. And as many of you know, this is kind of a huge topic right now, having to do with making sure that students are using technology ethically, safely, in a positive way, et cetera, et cetera. So I just want us to go a little further into this one standard area. I've quoted both of the standards here for students that relate to digital citizenship, and also the standard that relates to us as teachers for digital citizenship. So, so just so you know sort of the exact wording, couple of additional web resources to go to check out. Again, one of them is right on the ISTE website about digital citizenship, and the other one is from a tech learning website. So just kind of look through those and see what kind of ideas you get out of that. Again, this is a topic that it doesn't matter what subject area you're teaching, digital citizenship is something that you should be able to incorporate into things. And then I also, because we're talking here about ethical use of technology, also figured this would be a good place to talk about copyright issues, which, I mean, copyright issues have been around even before technology was a big piece of the classroom, but it's certainly become a bigger issue now that it is so easy to locate just about any resource online, and just understanding what you as an instructor are legally allowed to use and what you are not allowed to use, in terms of resources that you may find online and so on. So it's interesting because if you talk to teachers, you will usually find one of two extremes: either teachers that ignore fair use and just figure anything they find they can use in the classroom, which is incorrect. But you also find teachers who go to the other extreme and feel like they can't use anything they find on the internet, or any sort of resource like that. And that's actually not the case either. There are things that we are legally and fairly allowed to use in the classroom for educational purposes. So it's good to know where that line falls, so that you can stay on the correct side of it, and also so that you can help your students understand what they are allowed to use and not use in educational settings. So this page is all about digital citizenship. The discussion forum for this week is about digital citizenship. So when you go in to create a thread, it will have the prompt for your forum posts here. So just take a look at that, create a post. Each of you will be creating your own thread for this. And then, as always with these discussion forums, I encourage you to come back and take a look at what other people have posted, so that if you have responses or feedback, you can provide that. And if people respond to your thread, you should check in on that too, because these forums for me are all about the conversations that we get going. All right, third topic for the week, and this gets into your lesson plan projects, has to do with student learning objectives and goal setting. So the first three sort of areas of your lesson plans that you're going to be filling out are going to be the standard, or like the topic of your lesson, the standards that you are going to be including in your lesson, and that should include at least one ISTE standard. The rest of the standards should be drawn from whatever your subject area is. Hopefully you're all familiar with the teaching standards that your subject area works under. If not, this would be a great time to find out what they are. If you go to the state Department of Education website, they will have links to each of the subject areas and what the current standards are that are supposed to be being taught in the state of Connecticut. So you'll need to do that. And then the third thing is the actual instructional goals or learning outcomes for your lesson plan project. You don't have to fill in anything after that, just those kind of first three boxes. In terms of instructional goals, there are a couple of frameworks out there that are useful. By far, the best one I have found, and I use it all the time, is the SMART goal format. If you are not familiar with it, there's a brief introduction to it here, along with a link to a website. A lot of school districts are explicit in saying, like, all of your instructional goals need to be written as SMART goals. So it's a good thing, even if it's not something you've used before, it's a great thing to become aware of and to add into your toolbox. So the goals that you write for your lesson plan should be written in SMART goal format, which is usually some version of, by the end of this lesson, students will be able to, and then you're filling in whatever the specific measurable time-bound goals are that you are going to try to approach during that lesson or during a unit or during a course. It really kind of works at many different levels. So, so for your lesson plan, you're going to need to have at least one SMART goal. You might have a couple depending on the scope of the lesson, but remember, these lesson plans are designed to be taught in one lesson period, or one class meeting. So they are not units. So they will tend to be pretty focused. So take a look at that. And then once you've filled in those first three boxes of your lesson plans, which the Word document was linked in week 1, you'll convert that to a PDF, and then you'll just upload it to this lesson plan standards and goals assignment in Blackboard. browse local files, you'll link your file to it, upload it. And really at this point, all I'm wanting to do is take a look at what topic you're looking to do for your lesson plan and make sure that it looks like you're on the right track there. The final bit for the week is just getting information into your head, has to do with principles of design. This is an enormous topic that we could spend an entire undergraduate degree learning about. So we are just going to be skimming the surface here, but it's good to understand that there are principles of design. We do understand how we as humans process visual information. And it's important as a teacher that when you're putting information together visually, whether it's a handout or an assignment or a project, that you're doing it in a way that supports student understanding, that they will be able to look at the thing you've created and understand what it is you're trying to convey through it. So it's good to know that, what the design principles are in general and some of the specifics. And I've got sort of specifically here about web design. These are just some things maybe to think about in your Google Classroom assignments. I know we don't have a lot of ability to customize the look of the Google Classrooms, but as you're creating materials and creating instructional pages, you can keep these ideas in mind so that, again, when your students are looking at your Google Classroom, they're able to understand what they need to understand because it's laid out well, it's organized, and you're using these design principles for that. So that's subtopic number 4. So that gives us the 4 sub areas of the week. Again, in terms of actual, if you want to call it the homework for the week, really it just boils down to a forum post and follow up and getting those lesson plan documents submitted with the initial goals and standards included. The rest of the work for the week is mostly just about reading and getting up to speed on a couple of underlying concepts and ideas for the course. So that is the overview for the week. If you have not yet set up your Google Classroom and invited me to it, please do so as soon as possible. I want to be able to check in on those as you're working on them to make sure that everything is on the right track. So don't wait until the last week to get that set up and linked to me. And I do say in your Google Classroom, if you want to over this week, just as a way to kind of get used to setting up some content, you could create a materials page that is just an introduction to you as the teacher in the class, so that if students are accessing the Google Classroom online, they can click on that and get a little chance to see who you are and so on. So you could add that page into your Google Classroom. Nothing else specifically at this point in terms of anything else to add to your Google Classrooms. All right, that is week 2. I am going to sign off so I can get this video posted and loaded up to Blackboard. Please reach out with any questions. These Mondays are optional, so feel free to drop in any Monday at 7:20 if you have any questions you want to chat with me about. And if not, I will just be going over the following week's work and just kind of introducing where we are. All right, thank you all. Enjoy the week as we transition into April, and I may see some of you next week. All right, have a great night.